Lina walked slowly along the quiet street, her small bag swinging at her side. The sun was low in the sky, painting everything with a soft orange light. She felt tired, her heart heavy with worries she could not share. Lina had always believed in happy endings, but now it seemed like life had forgotten her. Her house was small and old. The roof leaked whenever it rained, and the walls were thin. Lina's mother had passed away when she was little, and her father worked far away in another town. She lived alone, and sometimes the loneliness pressed on her chest so tightly she could hardly breathe. Today had been another long day. Lina had gone to the market to sell the small crafts she made. Some days she earned enough to buy food, and other days she barely earned anything. People often ignored her, or they laughed at her handmade toys. "No one wants these old things," one man said, tossing a coin at her feet. Lina had felt her cheeks burn with shame. She continued walking, the soft wind brushing her hair. She passed the park where children played. Their laughter echoed in the air. Lina paused and watched them for a moment. She wanted to join them, to feel light and free, but she thought, who would want me there? As she turned the corner, she noticed a small bench under a tree. On it sat an old woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. The woman looked up and waved at Lina. "Hello, dear," she said softly. "Come, sit for a while." Lina hesitated, but something in the woman's voice felt safe. She walked over and sat down beside her. The old woman's hands were warm, resting on her lap. "You look tired," she said kindly. "But tired hearts need rest too." Lina wanted to speak, but the words stuck in her throat. She simply nodded. The woman handed her a small, worn notebook. "This is for you," she said. "Write down your thoughts, your dreams, your hopes. Even the smallest hope can grow into something big." Lina looked at the notebook. She had never kept one before. She didn't know if writing could change anything, but she felt a tiny spark inside her heart. A spark that whispered, "Maybe there is a way forward." The old woman smiled again. "Hope is soft," she said. "It does not shout. It does not demand. It simply speaks quietly in your heart. Listen carefully, and you will find it." Lina clutched the notebook to her chest. She felt warmth spreading through her chest, a strange feeling she hadn't felt in a long time. Could hope really speak softly? Could it really live inside her, even when life felt so hard? As the sun dipped lower, Lina left the park. Her steps were still slow, but her heart felt a little lighter. The notebook felt like a small treasure in her hands. For the first time in many days, she whispered to herself, "Maybe tomorrow can be better." And somewhere softly, hope listened. That night, Lina sat on the floor of her small house. The room was quiet except for the sound of the wind outside. A candle flickered beside her, casting soft shadows on the wall. In her hands, she held the old notebook the woman had given her. She opened the first page. It was empty. The blank page made her nervous. Lina had never written about her feelings before. She stared at the paper for a long time, unsure where to begin. Finally, she wrote one simple sentence. "I am tired, but I want to keep going." She stopped and read it again. Her eyes filled with tears. She did not know why, but writing the words made her feel seen, as if someone understood her pain. Slowly, she continued, "I want a life where I am not afraid every day. I want to smile without forcing it." Her hand shook as she wrote, but she did not stop. The words came quietly, one by one, like soft footsteps in the dark. She wrote about her loneliness, her fear of failing, and her small dreams. She wrote about wanting a warm meal, a safe home, and someone who cared. When she finished, she closed the notebook and held it close. The room still looked the same, but something inside her had changed. Her heart felt a little less heavy. The next morning, Lina woke up early. Sunlight came through the small window. For once, she did not rush out of bed. She sat quietly and listened to the sounds of the morning. Birds were singing outside. She remembered the old woman's words. "Hope is soft." Lina took the notebook again and read what she had written. Then she added a new line. "Today I will try again." She went to the market with her crafts just like every other day. The same stalls were there. The same people walked past her. Some still ignored her. One man laughed and shook his head. But Lina did not lower her eyes this time. She took a deep breath and smiled politely. Inside her heart, a small voice whispered, "You are trying. That matters." Later that day, a young mother stopped at her stall. She picked up a small handmade doll. "Did you make this?" she asked. "Yes," Lina replied softly. "It's simple, but it feels warm," the woman said. She bought the doll and smiled before leaving. The coin in Lina's hand felt different from the others. It felt like proof that her effort was not invisible. As the sun set, Lina walked home. She was still tired, and her life was still hard. Nothing had changed overnight. But she noticed something new. She was listening to the quiet voice inside her that said, "Keep going." Hope did not shout. It did not promise an easy life. But it walked beside her softly, step by step. And for Lina, that was enough, for now. Days passed, and Lina continued her routine. Every morning, she woke up early, wrote a few lines in her notebook, and went to the market. Life was still difficult, but she no longer felt completely lost. The soft voice of hope stayed with her, quiet but steady. One afternoon, dark clouds filled the sky. The wind grew strong, and rain began to fall. Lina hurried to pack her crafts, but it was too late. The rain soaked her toys and papers. She ran home, her clothes heavy and wet. When she reached her house, her heart sank. Water dripped from the roof, forming small pools on the floor. Her notebooks, clothes, and food were getting wet. Lina sat down and stared at the floor. Her hands trembled. "Why does everything fall apart?" she whispered. Tears rolled down her cheeks. For a moment, the soft voice of hope disappeared under her fear. That night, Lina did not write. She lay awake, listening to the rain hit the roof again and again. The cold crept into her bones. She felt small and helpless. The next morning, she woke up weak and tired. Her house smelled damp. The roof had collapsed a little in one corner. Lina felt panic rise in her chest. She had no money to fix it. No one to call. She picked up her notebook and opened it slowly. Her hands shook as she wrote, "I am scared. I don't know what to do." She stopped and waited. The room was silent. Then she wrote another line. "But I am still here." She remembered the old woman's eyes. She remembered the warm coin in her hand. Slowly, she stood up. Lina went outside and looked around her neighborhood. She had lived there for years but rarely spoke to anyone. Today, she knocked on a door. An old man opened it. He looked surprised. "Yes?" he asked. "My roof is leaking," Lina said quietly. "I don't have much, but I can help with anything. Cleaning, cooking, anything." The man studied her face, then nodded. "Wait here." Soon more neighbors came. One brought wood. Another brought tools. A woman offered Lina dry clothes. They worked together under the cloudy sky. Lina watched in silence, tears filling her eyes again. But this time they were different tears. That evening, her roof was not perfect, but it was safe. As the neighbors left, the old man said, "You are not alone, child. You just forgot to ask." That night, Lina wrote again. Hope spoke today through people. She smiled softly. She understood now. Hope was not only a feeling. Sometimes it was a knock on a door. Sometimes it was a helping hand. And sometimes hope spoke through courage, the courage to ask. After the storm, Lina's days felt different. Her house was still small, and her life was still simple, but something inside her had changed. She no longer felt invisible. Every time she passed her neighbors, they smiled or nodded. Some even stopped to talk. One morning, Lina sat by her window with her notebook. She read her old pages. She saw her fears, her tears, and her quiet strength. Then she turned to a new page and wrote, "I want to grow." The word surprised her. Before, she only wrote about surviving. Now she was thinking about more. That day at the market, Lina noticed a poster on a wooden pole. It read, "Community Fair, Handmade Crafts Wanted." Her heart beat faster. The fair would bring people from nearby towns. It was a chance to sell her work, maybe even earn more money. But fear quickly followed hope. What if no one likes my crafts? What if I fail again? Her hands felt cold. She walked past the poster, pretending not to care. But the words stayed in her mind all day. That night, Lina sat quietly, staring at the candle. She opened her notebook. I am afraid to try, she wrote. She paused. Then she added, but I am more afraid to stay the same. The next morning, Lina signed up for the fair. Her name looked small on the list, but it was there. Days passed quickly. Lina worked late into the night, making new dolls and small cloth animals. Her fingers hurt and her eyes felt heavy, but she did not stop. She chose bright colors and soft cloth. She poured her feelings into every piece. Sometimes doubt returned. When it did, Lina placed her hand on her notebook and whispered, Hope, stay with me. The day of the fair arrived. The place was crowded and noisy. Music played. People laughed and walked from stall to stall. Lina felt her legs shake. Her table looked plain compared to others. She stood behind it, unsure. A little girl stopped and picked up a doll. She hugged it tightly. Mama, this one feels kind, the girl said. The mother smiled and bought it. Then another person came. And another. Lina's heart felt full. She spoke to people, smiling, thanking them. Her voice was soft, but it did not disappear. As the sun set, Lina counted her earnings. It was more money than she had ever made in one day. She did not cry. She simply breathed in deeply. That night, Lina wrote one final line for the day. Hope grew when I chose courage. She looked up at the sky through her window. The stars were quiet but bright. And Lina understood something important. Hope does not push. It waits. And when you are ready, it walks with you. Life did not become perfect after the fair. Lina still woke up early. She still worked hard every day. But now her days carried meaning. She was no longer just surviving. She was moving forward. With the money she earned, Lina fixed her roof properly. She bought warm food and new cloth for her crafts. She even saved a small amount, something she had never done before. Every night she continued to write in her notebook. Some days she wrote about happiness. Some days she wrote about fear. Some days she wrote only one line. But she always wrote honestly. One afternoon, while sitting on the same park bench, Lina saw the old woman again. The woman looked exactly the same, calm, kind, and gentle. Lina's heart jumped. You came back, Lina said softly. The old woman smiled. So did you. They sat together in silence. The wind moved the leaves above them. I was very lost when I met you, Lina said. You gave me hope. The woman shook her head gently. No, child, you found it yourself. I only reminded you to listen. Lina thought about this. She remembered the quiet voice that guided her through fear, rain, and doubt. Hope never shouted, Lina said slowly. It was always soft. Yes, the woman replied. Because loud voices demand, hope invites. The sun began to set. Lina turned to speak again, but the bench beside her was empty. The old woman was gone. Lina did not feel afraid. She smiled. Weeks later, Lina began teaching children in her neighborhood how to make simple crafts. They gathered around her, laughing and learning. Lina saw herself in them, shy, uncertain, but full of possibility. One little boy asked, Why do you always smile like that? Lina knelt and said, Because I learned something important. What? He asked. She touched her heart. That even when life is hard, hope is still here. It speaks softly, but it never leaves. That night, Lina opened her notebook for the last time. She wrote, I am not the same girl I was. I listened. I tried. I stayed. She closed the notebook and placed it on her shelf. Outside, the world was quiet. Inside, Lina felt strong. Hope did not change her life in one moment. It walked with her step by step, softly, patiently. And because Lina learned to listen, she found her way.